Hey internet friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Lindsay or LiJo, and today we're going to be talking about where your type is getting distracted. If you'd like to talk to me more about this subject, you can book a video session with me below on Snug. So let's get started. So the thing that we do best can sometimes be the thing that we're doubling down on all the time. And therefore, it actually ends up being a distraction because it's taking us away from the balance of our own psyche and doing the things that we need to do because we're doing the things that are easiest to us from a cognitive perspective. There is so much more to life than our default responsibilities, aka our first function, and our fears, our fourth function. And so with that, we're going to get started on where your type is getting distracted according to your default function, your first function, and its responsibilities. So for this video, if you don't know the cognitive functions of your personality type, I encourage you to look it up online. You can look up whatever your type is and cognitive functions, find the first one. That's what we're going to be focusing on today. All right, so we'll just kick it off with the NI, introverted intuition first. So if you're an NI user, you have NI first, hey, I'm there with you. Where is our type getting distracted? Well, with NI, what you're going to be doing a lot of the time is building up concepts, building up ideas and how things come together, sometimes trying to solve and try to understand holistically, and then not really executing on the SE, extroverted sensing front. So the actual doing, applying, making the thing happen in real life, doing things in the sensory based off now this holistic understanding. Yeah, it's not happening to the fullest extent. We'll just leave it at that. NI really wants to gain the understanding, and that is where you're really satisfied. We're leaving the void as it comes to the SE, the varied experience, and real life, real world application. All right, so SI users, introverted sensing, all of my IJ buddies, but on the SI side, well, where is your type getting distracted? So one of the areas that you'll find a lot of distraction is making sure that all of the pieces are accounted for before moving forward. So what SI wants to do is, in reality, in a very kind of clear and concise way, it wants pieces to be lined up in a certain manner, and it doesn't want to just jump ahead. It doesn't want to jump forward. It doesn't want to move forward on things without knowing that things are accounted for, and then it can take the next step. I was listening to a conversation with some SI users the other day, and they kind of brought this up in theory, and I really latched onto the fact that is what SI is doing in a default state, but can also hold it back because it's unwilling to jump ahead and move forward. NE, extroverted intuitive, so where you're getting distracted based on that first function is what reminds you of something else. So NE is constantly branching out. It is like the tree with all of the branches going in different directions. So you'll have an idea or you'll be started on something, but that something will then remind you of something else, which reminds you of something else, which all of a sudden now you're down a rabbit hole, right? Now, NE is wonderful because it is such a creative, beautiful function, but when you're always tied to what reminds you of something else, oftentimes you're distracted from the very thing that you're trying to stay focused on. All right, extroverted sensors, SE users with the first function as SE. Where are you getting distracted? Well, you're getting distracted probably many times when you see something new, when the thing that you're doing currently seems repetitive, old, or boring. SE is very open to accepting and encouraging new experiences, variety in their life. And so when you are doing something that seems repetitive, even though it's something you maybe really want or really want to be focused on, that SE function is going to be distracting you from that because it's looking at what's new, what's varied. The same old thing is kind of seeming boring at this point. That's when you really have to channel your NI, say, hey, what is the goal at the end of the day? Why am I focused on this in the first place? Is that thing still important to me? Do I still want to make this thing come together like the plan intended? All right, extroverted thinkers, where are you getting distracted? Well, there's just this thing that's going on here and it just could be working so much better than it is. And I could just figure out how to make it a little bit better so that it can apply to all these other things better than it currently does. Because right now it's just an inefficient mess. Something could work better. TE kind of wants to go in and save the day, but often it's taking on responsibilities that it doesn't really need to take responsibility for because it's like not your area, and you kind of just need to focus on your own introverted function, your FI, and really what you value doing in a lot of situations. FE, where are you getting distracted? Well, I can't really relate, but you seem to be getting distracted when the vibe is off. If you have FE first, If there is a vibe wrecker of sorts, if there is something in the environment that is throwing off the equilibrium of all the other humans, the interactions, the vibration of the collective, that is distracting to you. And it is something that you want to work to mitigate, to equalize, and so that whatever the vibe is meant to be can be perpetuated. Again, great quality to have. Sometimes that can be a distraction because of the fact that while you're being overly focused on how to wrangle in this vibe, sometimes there's something else that needs to be done, something that's more important, in a T perspective to the situation. FI users, where are you getting distracted? Well, it's very distracting when you don't like what's going on, when your internal value system, when your heart on the inside is saying, I just don't like this. Now, as with other functions higher than FI, even if we do have FI, it's like, okay, I don't like this thing, but I can kind of move past it for the sake of whatever. Now, you may be able to do that as well, but it's going to be so emotionally and mentally distracting to you along the way. It's going to be continually pulling your attention back to that thing of what you don't like in this situation. And last, but certainly not least, TI, introverted thinkers, where are you getting distracted? Well, you're getting distracted building on top of the knowledge stack that you already currently have because you haven't met your own standard of how high it should be. Now, what does that mean? Well, it means that even if you're an expert in a certain area, you still believe that you're not quite there, that you could be higher, when if you actually looked around, if you actually looked at the extroverted spectrum of the tribe, you were already at the top of the mountain. So there's probably some other things you should be looking at instead of stacking that knowledge even higher. Now, great, it makes you an expert in a lot of things, certainly. Engaging in that extroverted spectrum to say, oh, I'm actually up here, maybe there's some other things I can look at, maybe some FE I can attend to will be very beneficial. All right, so moral of the story is these are some areas where you might be doubling down if this function is your savior. And how do you equalize that? Well, it's by pressing in and leaning into your fourth function, seeing where the void is being left and trying to take some attention away from what you're doing all the time and just give a little bit more time in your life and a little bit more attention to that fourth function. I'm sure there's a video on it somewhere out there on the internet. I will see you guys in my next video. Goodbye, internet friends.